On Texpo Atlanta. Here we are today with another special guest. This guest, Brian Davis, is, dare I say it, a veteran of cybersecurity. Can I call you that? Does that work? Okay. Of Stealth Tech Services. And he's going to share with us a few insights into cybersecurity. And I think he has a really interesting story on this really cool superhero logo. So I kind of want to get into that first. If you could talk a little bit about yourself and like what inspired this logo, I think would be really cool.
Oh yeah. So my name is Brian Davis. I'm CEO of Stealth Tech Services. So what inspired our logo? This is a ninja logo that has a shield on it. So the shield is supposed to be representing the defense of cybersecurity, and the ninja, because I like anime and ninjas, it came together when I sat down one day and I talked to an Instagram artist to really redraw the idea that I got from Canva. And so we created the logo, and I got multiple twos of different colors of the logo. So I like black and red was the theme for Stealth Tech Services.
I think that's really cool because I like anime and I like animation and I have my own film production company too on the side and I do things like that. And I just saw them like, oh, that's the coolest logo I've seen for like a cybersecurity organization. I mean, this is like superhero, man. Um, Very much ninja. So, could you talk a little bit about your history? I understand that it's connected with veterans. That's correct. If
Yes.
you go into a little bit more detail about that.
Yeah. So my former profession was 25 Bravo as an IT security veteran in the Army, and so we was already trained to be a Sec Plus security guy to make sure that there's no data leakage and stuff like that. So we have a long history. Which is in my hometown, is Augusta, Georgia, which is the home of cybersecurity, which is the place of James Brown as well. So I was literally trained in the military when I was stationed there at Fort Gordon to learn cybersecurity. Defense and data breaches, how to make sure to stay maintained. So, when I got out of the military back in 2012, I started my company back in 2019 with Stealth Tech Services. So, I wanted to be a cybersecurity expert, to be a managed service provider to corporations and small businesses to help them manage data breaches, data leakage, or any type of penetration. And I just wanted to make sure that they understand the importance of cybersecurity, because I always ask the question, how much is your data worth to you? Is it cost like $4,000, for the protection for like somebody like Stealth Tech Services to cover you, or would you rather pay $4 million for a data breach and you trying to get your data back? And it's very detrimental that a lot of companies out there don't understand the realization of how important it is to protect your data, whether you're doing medical information, taxes information, or even just regular information for a conference or even a con. Like anytime your information is leaked out like that, that's a vulnerability. Somebody can use your name, they can get into your account, they can get into your banking information. One of my good friends at the Russell Center downtown, he did an experiment where he just sat in the coffee shop, how vulnerable the Wi-Fi connection is, and got people's information. And he goes around with a card and said, "Hey, I am a cybersecurity expert, and we did a test, and you was the one that was the culprit to the Wi-Fi because you joined the Wi-Fi network unprotected, and I got all your banking information."
Wow.
Yeah. So that's why this is very important. If somebody really want to get your information and they're a hacker, they can get it. But we want to have these type of protections as cheap as possible. We provide those services so that way you can actually have to protect yourself. A lot of times people say, well, Microsoft and Google have protection. That is right. That is correct. They have protections, but that doesn't mean that you use Microsoft and Google all the time. What about everything else, all your other programs, or even your cell phone that you're using every day? What protections are you using for those other programs? So you definitely need to have some type of software to protect you from those data leakages and hackages, from any type of area, whether you're connecting to the hotel Wi-Fi or you're connecting to a coffee shop Wi-Fi. Anywhere you go, Wi-Fi is free, but there's come with a cost.
Mhm. That's right. That old adage, nothing is free, is a true thing sometimes. Thank you so much for your. We might get some free little tips and advice here. I think that information's valuable personally. I know a lot of people think, oh, I installed antivirus, I'm good. And it's like, you have no idea unless you come from an IT background, like all of the things that go along with that cybersecurity. I always think of like Tron or something, where he snuck in and like hacked in the computer and the mainframe and everything. So yeah, that's really cool. And by the way, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I'd like to talk a little bit about that. Maybe like some common tips and trips you could give for people that are not as savvy in the cybersecurity world. Maybe common mistakes that are made, and then some things to think about in comparison to like when someone thinks, "Oh, I'm protected," and they're not thinking about all of these other factors of where they could be attacked from. I even know some good personal friends that had issues with their identity stolen, and so that's a big, huge thing. Like you said, that could be like millions of dollars expense for some people. So if you want to go into a little bit about that, and I think you're a great person to ask because you're a ninja, right? So
So I tell people the best way to protect yourself is to make sure you have your passwords up to date and don't use the same passwords. That's a very vulnerable thing that most normal people have when it comes to their ID identifications and usernames that they have. Because a lot of customers that I talk to, they like to use the same password. And so I tried to tell them to either have a two-step authentication. I use Google Authenticator, and because it cycles every 60 seconds, and it will give me a whole different number. Or I get some sites that I'm a part of. They don't have a two-step, a text authentication to your mobile phone or email. And I prefer the mobile phone because it'll give me a random number that I can log into. Because like with Department of Veteran Affairs, they use ID.me, and ID.me does that. They'll text your phone and give your identification. So I tell people for that, you just need to make sure that you don't never use the same password. You don't leave your passwords out because even your family members can go into your stuff that without your knowledge, take money out and stuff like that. I seen the elderly tell me about how they get hacked by their nieces and nephews or grandchildren because they left their password on the couch or the dresser somewhere or the nightstand. Um, because I know a lot of times people like to write stuff down in the notebook, and so they'll leave their passwords out there. So I was like, that's a no no. I tell people there's applications out there now that you could actually download on your mobile phone, and they call it a password manager, and you could just manage your password there. So it's all in one place, so you don't really have to leave it in a notepad or somewhere in there. So and then you can send in a backup copy to your email or your Google Drive or Dropbox, and you have it there just in case if your phone breaks. The other thing too, I tell people to prevent for data leakage and stuff like that is to make sure that you always have updates. If you don't have updates, a lot of times your programs that you use every day can be vulnerable as well to a data hackage or what we call an evil twin scenario where a site looks like your site and then you're logging in with the same password and then they capture your password and they can actually steal your data that way. Those are some of the common basic ways I tell people that's you can protect yourself. And like lately, we have this training session called Vetron that we deal with my battle buddy Jeremy Walker. So he deals with helping the boots. We help veterans learn about their benefits, and we also do training to help them understand how to protect their data, and we give them guidance on how to better themselves, whether it's training, learning about their health and benefits to register online the right way, how to set up their accounts the right way. So we do trainings like once a month on that field.
I think that's really cool. So you guys are giving back in a huge way as well, and that's powerful. I mean, who would you want to trust with cybersecurity other than someone who's actually done it for the government? Like that's that's a life or death situation, right? If you're wrong, the enemy gets your information, you're done. So I think that's fantastic. Thanks for sharing those tips and tricks with us. I guess I'd like to end on a note of I mentioned earlier, I think we were talking a little bit about you had some special contacts that you made. If you want to dive a little bit into that, there were a couple that seemed really interesting here at DigiMarCon.
Oh, yes.
What that experience has been like for you.
Yeah, so I met a young lady. Her name is Miss Shannon. She's with her business is called Concierge, and they are a company that deal with a multitude of services that they deal with staffing and everything. And so she was telling me that she's been wanting to go into the government market and stuff like that, and that she have connections and leads for that. And I thought that was a great connection for us here at Texpo and DigiMarCon. That I've been wanting to connect with certain people here at the convention for teaming partners for government contracts. Because at this point in time, even though I'm a service disabled veteran-owned business, I'm also a competitor to other veterans as well. Because the federal government is trying to give preference to veterans to actually have them working on contracts and projects that are cater either to the Department of Veteran Affairs or Department of DoD and DISA and a couple other different marketplaces like the Army, Air Force, you name it, all those large big names, right? And so one of the biggest keys as a small business is that a lot of times they don't recognize us because we're a small business. So even though we might have veteran experience, they still feel like you can't do the job because you don't have enough people. So they prefer you to be partnered up with someone that you could team up with, whether it's a joint venture or a teaming agreement, and they'll be like, okay, well, we see you're backed by so many resources. We know you can do the job, so they'll feel more comfortable because it's a liability reason. And so, in order to make them comfortable, you have to team up with people to get those government contracts. And so, I'm glad I met someone like that today that's willing to want to team up and partner on those different endeavors. So we're looking forward to talking next week. We were talking about talking in a one-on-one after this conference to talk more about certain contracts we want to go after.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like a great opportunity and right up your alley. So I'm
Oh,
glad
yeah.
you're making those connections. I've found that DigiMarCon and Texpo has a lot of this happening, where people meet just the right person and the magic starts happening. I mean, these are things I've had someone tell me in just a day of DigiMarCon and Texpo. They accomplished more than a whole month of cold calling and emailing and sending things out. That personalization factor really makes a big difference. So. Speaking of teaming up, thanks for teaming up with me for this interview.
Oh, yeah. No
Thank you so
problem.
much. Can you just end on like how people can follow you and find out more about your services online?
Yes. So you can find our website is Stealth Tech Services. So it's Stealth STEALTH dash Tech TECH dash services.com. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. My name is Brian Davis. You should see my LinkedIn in Atlanta, Georgia. I also can give the con my digital business card because I have a business card that shows all my analytics and stuff like that. Matter of fact, since we're on the podcast, since I am a tech, because it wouldn't be official of me not to show my QR code that you can actually look at and you can see it and you can scan. I don't know if you can see these.
Let's see if we can
And you should be able to scan my QR code
see that.
and oh yeah,
Yeah.
and with that you can get my information. It'll have my portfolio and stuff like that. I use Hi Hello to keep all my CRMs. I recommend that's one of the tips I can give y'all at any conference you go to. Always have a digital business card that has a CRM, and the one I favor is Hi Hello. It's my favorite digital business card because to keep up with every person that I keep in contact with. I have over like 20 contacts from this event, which is pretty good, and just to let you guys know, in total I have like over 1,000 contacts since April of going to different conferences similar to this. That's been very helpful. So this tool is really useful. Just want to let you guys know.
Very cool. Thank you again so much for everything.
Oh yeah, thank you.
And be sure to check them out online. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of our DigiMarCon and Texpo Atlanta. We hope to see you soon. We're all around the world, so definitely go on our website, digimarcon.com, and check out all of the events coming up. Right around the corner, we're going to be in Charlotte. We're going to be in Miami, Florida. We are going to be all around the world. We're even going international. So definitely take a list at all of the places we're going to visit and see if there's one near you want to check out. Thank you so much and have a great day.